for example, in the book of Acts, it says, God who made the world and everything in it is Lord of heaven and earth. And I'll just read one more, just so I can clarify the metaphysical point of this. In Colossians, it says, for by him all things were created, both in heavens and earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions. All things have been created through him and for him. He is before all things. And here's the key passage. And in him, God, all things hold together. Now, from a metaphysical point of view, God could be defined as that which is unconditionally non-dependent. Okay? Would you accept that definition, that God is that which is unconditionally non-dependent?
If you're talking about what you believe exists and that you call a God, then I would have to say I have, a basic understanding of what you believe a God is.
Yeah, if God is eternal and the creator of all things, then by definition, he would be unconditionally non-dependent, right? So,
well, that kind of depends, because I don't have a sufficient understanding of cosmology to know whether that makes sense in a world where time is not also eternal. So
I'm just talking by definition.
Yeah, I'm not sure that definition makes sense because I don't have a sufficient knowledge of cosmology. But if you're trying to say uncaused, then sure.
Okay, so God is unconditionally non-dependent and upon which everything depends. So from a Christian theistic point of view, all Christians would hold to the idea that God is unconditionally non-dependent, and he would be the personal absolute.
So I'm sorry. I understand that this is what you believe about a God, but the statement, so all Christians agree on X, is one that I don't think can be said about anything.
No, this is not controversial. God,
I agree with you that it's not controversial. However, I don't know that other Christians would do that, right? Or what your definition of Christian is, or whether you count Mormons, right? Like, those words may very well be words that Christians object to because they're not in the Bible, right?
I'd like to get to the question.
Yeah. So
I'd like to get to the question. Okay.
Right.
So God is defined as the creator of all things. So if God is the creator of all things, then by definition, he's unconditionally non-dependent. Since you lack belief in God, all right? So, for example, in the Christian theistic position, if we say the grass is green, then the intelligibility of the grass being green would depend upon God as that which is unconditionally non-dependent, since he's the creator of all things.
So to be clear, anything at all would depend on God creating.
I'm trying to get to my question.
All right, okay? Yeah.
I'm just giving you lead up to the question.
Yeah.
All right. So in the Christian theistic perspective, which I hold to, the intelligibility of any stated fact would only be in virtue of God, because God is unconditionally non-dependent. But since you have a lack of belief in God.
Yeah, that hasn't met its burden of proof.
Then what is it? Then what is it in your worldview that is unconditionally non-dependent and an impersonal absolute that will provide for the intelligibility of any assertion? What is that?
Yeah, I don't assert that there is such a thing.
Correct.
Okay,
yeah.
Then you will destroy.
No, I don't, because the world.
Well, you haven't heard my
No, you haven't heard the full content of my response. The world does not live or die or be destroyed or created based on what I believe about it. I exist in a practically unfathomably for humans, large universe. And if I died tomorrow, absolutely nothing except, the nature of me being alive would change. So whether or not I have a complete understanding of the universe doesn't change anything about it.
And it's also not absolute, period.
Here's the problem, right? If you're going to state any fact, a fact is only a fact with respect to the system. And the system is going to have to contain a foundation.
Sure.
Whatever is unconditionally non-dependent.
Can you give me the case that must be true? That there must be a thing that is that. Because at the present moment, the best of human ingenuity and understanding at the present moment has come up with Big Bang cosmology.
No, that has nothing to do with it. You're confusing.
You're talking about existence and things existing, and the universe as we know it.
Right,
The current greatest model is that. Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about cosmogony. Okay. So what I'm talking about is metaphysics, which is even beyond that.
Which
right?
is sorry.
Now,
when you say metaphysics, do you mean the existence of things?
Cutting me off. You keep cutting me off when I'm trying.
I'm asking clarifying questions.
Yeah. I know that, but I haven't finished, and you keep on. You've interjected or cut me off at least 4 times.
I'm sorry.
Now I'd like to finish. Now, one will have to hold consciously or unconsciously that something is See, there you go again. You didn't even let me finish. You see,
what? Nobody interrupted you.
I did say no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You're doing it again right now. Now, either you will hold that something is unconditionally non-dependent, or you will make assertions that are not derived from something that is unconditionally non-dependent. Therefore, the assertions would have no basis. So do you believe that any of your assertions as an atheist have an ultimate basis to them?
Okay. At the present moment, I assert that I am holding this coffee cup. The basis for that is the coffee cup. Question. I'm giving you an example that demonstrates the answer to your question. Sir. Yes. I'm giving you an example that demonstrates the answer to my question, which is the as best we can tell, facts about reality. Yeah.
You don't understand the question.
No, I do. So whether or not I have a metaphysical worldview at all does not affect my ability to say there is a coffee cup here because I am not talking about metaphysics. Earlier in this conversation, when I brought up cosmology, you said, no, metaphysics is beyond that. Well, fantastic. I'm holding a coffee cup.
No, you're not understanding my question.
You're not understanding my objection to it.
No, I do understand your objection, and I'm also
proceed.
telling you you're not understanding my question. Now, I'm asking you is what ultimately provides for the intelligibility of any stated fact. Whether you say you're holding your coffee cup or the green grass is blowing in the wind, I'm asking you, in order for a fact to be a fact, it will be ultimately derivative of something that is unconditionally non-dependent. Now,
I don't believe that assertion is true.
Do you reject that?
No, I don't accept it. There's a difference.
Okay, no. Okay, not accepting it. Not accepting it means.
Let me ask.
Let me finish.
Yeah, because I believe that my answer was unclear just now. When you say, "Do I reject that?" Do you mean I accept the opposite, or do you mean I do not hold that to be true?
Either you accept,
or you do not accept. Yeah.
I'll try to explain it to you. Listen, when one makes a predication or a statement of fact, the metaphysical intelligibility of any stated fact will either be in virtue of something that is unconditionally non-dependent. You either accept that or you don't accept it.
Give me a reason to accept that.
No, I ask you, do you accept it or not?
At the present moment, I do not hold that to be true, so I believe that's no.
That's an even worse position. Now, the reason
it's an even worse position than what?
I'll try to explain it to you. It's a worse position than affirming that the intelligibility of any fact that you state is derivative of something that is unconditionally non-dependent.
Cool.
Now what you're saying is...
Persuade me that that's true.
No, you're not understanding it. Let me finish and I'll explain it to you. Now, the intelligibility of any stated fact will either be in virtue of something that is unconditionally non-dependent, or you will not accept that. So then let me ask you this question. Since you do not accept that intelligibility depends upon something ultimate, where does intelligibility come for any stated fact with respect to your model of reality? Where does it come from?
So we have two problems. One, I don't believe that you've sufficiently defined intelligibility. I don't believe, as best I can understand, what you've described as intelligibility is a quality of a thing. It's a quality of a human's ability to understand something. And two, well, I have an explanation, and if you don't understand my explanation, provide your own, is a textbook example of an argument from